Well, here we go. Episode 36 of the What Do We Do podcast. Kyle Bogey, Dewey Stephan here at Great Lakes Wealth. And, Dewey, this is going to be the third guest episode on the What Do We Do podcast. Should be exciting. The first two guests were simply fantastic. Should be a great conversation.
There's no pressure on these guys today, Kyle. The first two were fantastic, and as we always say, we're just getting started. The guests we have today are amazing. Their story is so raw, it's so real, and as you know, this podcast is about community, and these guys are just pillars in the community, but because they roll up their sleeves and they go to work every day, I mean, we're excited to have them here, and I want you to introduce them and give them the respect they deserve.
Well, the best part is we had two guests over two episodes to start 2021. Now we're bringing in two guests on one episode here, the What Do We Do podcast, and that is the Tomey brothers of the Tomey Group. We got Anthony on the mic right now. We got Michael right next to him, and we look forward to chatting with him as well. But certainly a lot to dive into. You guys do a little bit of everything. You know, certainly Jimmy John's is kind of the vehicle that kind of drives everything that you're involved in. And we certainly want to get into your new baby, the new venture, 8 Mile Vodka, and everything that's going on there. But I guess for starters, Anthony, appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We certainly want to have a good conversation here. There's a lot to dive into. And I guess we can kind of go back and start from the beginning, if you will. And I'm fascinated just because taking a look at the website and just obviously we have a relationship. We've known you guys. How the Jimmy John's thing kind of came to be, because it really is a little bit serendipitous how that story kind of started.
Yeah, it was very random, very random. So my father, he did well. He was like a CFO for companies, tier 1 companies that supplied parts for Ford, Chrysler, GM, all that stuff. He did well, nothing spectacular, but just he's a human calculator, this guy. And they were kind of forcing him out a little bit, like, hey, you're getting a little older. The owner's son was trying to come through. Things were going on, and I had just been drafted by the Detroit Tigers, and we decided, hey, let's go do something. And my dad, being typical Arabs, is like, hey, let's open a gas station. We're like, no, we're not going to do that. Nothing 24 hours. We don't want to do that kind of thing. And he's like, how about like Subway? And I said, listen, I used to eat Jimmy John's in college, and there are none in the suburbs. And so my uncle, who is my dad's brother, he owned a landscaping company, made decent money, but working 6 days a week, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day, hard labor. We're like, hey, let's go do this. And we tried it out, made it happen, and we just kept on working at it, and we had store 1.
Anthony, what year did this all start?
We opened 2003, August of 2003.
Okay,
yep.
Fantastic.
Yep, and then I came home from baseball that summer after that whole year, and I started working in the stores immediately. Our sister was at Michigan State. Michael, my brother, he was still in high school at that point. We're an 8-year difference between us. So we're just working, doing everything we got to do. And then we just started opening store 2 and then store 3 and then boom, boom, boom. Today we're at 50.
Wow, fantastic.
So kind of just a crazy story just built on never had restaurant experience, never did anything like that. Kids I like Jimmy John, thought it tastes pretty good and thought, hey, let's buy this. See what happens.
Did they the Jimmy John organization make it easy enough and simple enough to run a franchise for them, or did you have to learn as you went through the whole process there? How did that work?
No, actually, you know what? They do a really good job of putting it plain and if you can read, you're in. You just got to follow the steps all the way through. They'll tell you how to even clean, like how to do this. This is what you do. These are what you clean every day. These 5 things this day, the next 5 days, all the way through. So they really make it pretty easy. Once you learn the sandwiches, it's really easy, but it's a very fast-paced thing, and we got in it right at the beginning. If we had waited another year, maybe, we probably wouldn't have gotten the territory that we do have today, because it got really kind of hot about 2005 probably, but we kind of surrounded ourselves in like a big box, bought the areas, and then we just got really lucky and then started moving around all over the place. And then by 2000 I retired in 2008 from baseball. We had 4 stores. And then by 2018, we had 24. And then we're like, hey, let's go buy this other guy out. And we doubled the company overnight and went to 50 stores in 2019.
Wow.
So yeah, pretty nuts.
A pretty significant athlete component on this podcast, especially with the guest. Darren McCarty was the first guest here on the What Do We Do podcast. So before we kind of discuss a little bit more about the Jimmy John's journey and the rapid growth, especially over the last 3 years. I mean, that's absolutely amazing to just simply double what you guys are doing. But you did play in the Detroit Tigers organization. Just if you could, talk about that journey, what that was like, and, how close you felt like to really turning that into a big league career potentially over the years.
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for anything. I would do it for free. If you didn't tell me, like, listen, we're not going to pay you at all. Do you want to come play baseball? But yes, that sounds amazing. The people I met, the guys I met through this whole thing, the maturity process that happened, like when you get there, you don't realize how big a difference between the kids that went to high school and were drafted and went and played, and the guys went to college and played. There's a huge gap. I mean, going to college is really a pretty awesome thing just to grow up as a real person, But yeah, it was really good. I had a really good career. I never had a 3 ERA my entire career. I was a starter in the beginning. Then they found out how weird I threw, and I just started, put me in the bullpen. And I did really, really well in the bullpen. And 2007 was my year. I really had a great year. I finished with a 1.9 ERA. Led the league in AA and AAA, and I was sitting there, and I get a call from Jeff Jones, who was the pitching coach, and he was my pitching coach in high school. Like, he used to do lessons with him, and he's like, "Listen, Tomey, when we're going to bring you up, what we want to." I said, "Oh, okay, fine.
I guess
I'll do it. I'll do it. I guess."
Twist my arm.
And I said, Skip and I, Jim Leland, Skip and I really want you to come up, but Dombrowski said no. So why? Like, well, you don't throw hard enough for him. He wants only a 95 plus out of the bullpen. That's when he had Zumaya and Perry.
Of course, yeah.
All these guys getting smoked, but they're there if they can light the gun up, all they want. But they're getting hit every day. But
it was the straightest ball you could play. There was no late action.
Nothing.
There was no movement, nothing to it.
I can't throw a straight ball. Like, you could ask Michael. I play catch with Michael in the backyard, and it just hits you in the face. You look like an idiot. Like, I just don't throw the ball straight, and which is the key to pitching, really. But after a while, I just said, I came back in 2008, and I was like, I had a good year again, and they're like, yeah, we love you. We're not going to trade you. We're not going to put you anywhere, but you're not going to come up. I was like, all right, thanks. I'll go make sandwiches. We'll call it a day. And it was a great career. I had a lot of fun with it, and like I said, I still have great friends through the whole thing, and a lot of, it's funny how, like, it all kind of people were always making fun of me, like, what are you doing with this Jimmy John's? Like, what's going on? Like, why do you have this? Like, you're always on the computer, always doing stuff, and I'm like, it'll be good for me, I think, at the end of the day. And now you get those guys. I have 3 guys that actually play ball with me that are franchisees of Jimmy John's. Donnie Kelly, baby, was a franchisee. He sold his store, but I got him into it in Pennsylvania, helped him out. A lot of people are starting to, get some momentum with it, and it took off. I mean, obviously, I've made a lot more money in sandwiches than baseball. So,
talk about 2008, 2009. So hindsight, 2020. That was the financial crisis in America, right?
It was.
So at the time, you probably thought things are going to be fine. This is okay. Going to transition. But I imagine that it turned out to be either the opportunity of a lifetime for maybe you can talk about, or it was twice the struggle you thought out of the gate.
It was tough. I mean, we had 4 stores open at that point, and we had just opened, literally, November 1st, we opened up our 5th store on 14 Mile and Haggerty up there. And the next day, everything went to a bad place. Everything went down. Like, it was literally immediately. And we were like, man, what are we doing? What's going to happen? All this. And we just worked really, really hard. We were working all day, every day. We were saying, hey, listen, only use 2 pieces of paper when you wipe your hands out of 3, and just, cutting corners everywhere we can to make it happen. And we ended up surviving it. And then 2009 was a decent year, and then boom, 2010, 2015, every year we double-digit comped. We were just killing it. And we just kept on building. We were building 2 or 3 stores a year, just going and going. That's kind of how we really took off. And we owe that to ourselves for working hard. But our dad was just, he's a super, 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 super conservative, money-wise person, and he'd never let us spend money, never let us, he's like, listen, we're poor, we can't do anything. I'm like, okay, we won't do anything, but we're just magically building stores for $500,000 a pop, but he knew how to do things, and he taught us how to do the way we do things. And that's how we were able to buy these, these other stores. The banks were just giving us money. We only had, $800,000 in debt from our original 24 stores, which is pretty ridiculous, to tell you the truth, for how much other people we see. And so we've learned to use our money in a different way. A lot of people like to have a lot of debt. My dad really hates debt. So he just kind of taught us how to do things. Now we're learning how to do both ways. Now we're learning how to utilize our money and let it work for us. And so it was a great experience. We're glad we did it. And then we're still to this day still working in store. We literally make sandwiches 3 to 4 days a week. We try not to sometimes, but we'll be like, okay, we're good, we're staffed, and then 20 minutes later, they'll get a call, hey, we're getting smoked, we need help, and we'll go in.
Can you talk about last year, again, 2008, 2009, was it eerily similar to the COVID-19 pandemic last year, or did you use some of what you learned before to survive that, or was it a whole different set of circumstances? I mean, everything was shut in the country for 3 months, right?
It was a little different. We definitely worked really hard. I mean, really, really hard. But this was it was an invisible thing. We don't know how to stop it. We don't know where it was. In the beginning, we were all very scared. If you touch the surface, if you touch a tomato, maybe everyone's going to get it, shut the whole place down. Everyone's going to die. Game over, And so we were very, very scared in the beginning. We ended up closing. I was every day for the first week, I think, I would sit in the office and I would just wait. I would refresh all the numbers and seeing what the sales are. And by 2:30, okay, we'll close this store, this store, this store, this store, because it was so bad. And this store will stay open. Maybe they're doing okay. We'll figure it out. And then we just said, we're going to close it for 6 weeks, or until we get, hopefully, the PPP money. So we did. We closed for 6 weeks, and it was tough. And during those 6 weeks, Michael and I were going in and making food for all these. We had a ton of food. We couldn't let it sit there. So we were making tons of food for all these hospitals, and people saw we were posting on social media, people reaching out, hey, if I give you 1,000, can you go feed this hospital? If you give you 1,000, can I go feed this hospital? We're like, sure, we'll do it. And we literally worked every single day. So we never really had a break, but we didn't bring our employees back. And then we had about almost 800 employees. And then when we came back from COVID, we currently had about 520. Nobody wanted to work. And then this was the hardest part of our life. We really worked all day, every day for 6 months straight. Delivery, driving, making sandwiches, opening stores, doing whatever we had to do to make it work. We didn't cut anybody's salary. We didn't do anything. We just didn't take any money. And we were prepared to take the whole year not making any money. And thankfully, that wasn't the case. And we ended up doing respectably well for the circumstances. So
The fascinating part to me, we've talked with both you guys about this, is delivering sandwiches, and if somebody calls in sick or somebody doesn't want to come back to work or whatever it was, and you guys are pulling up in your the nice vehicle and all that and dropping off sandwiches. But I love that though, because you're willing to do whatever it takes to just stay afloat, make things happen, and get stuff done.
Yeah, I mean it's funny to see people laugh at us all the time.
Some weird looks, yeah.
I mean we both were very blessed. We both drive Escalades, and we look like the biggest idiots. People are like, can I come work at Jimmy John's? I was like, yes, we'd love for you to come work at Jimmy John's. We're not the traditional looking delivery driver either. We clean shaven, we smell nice. We come in and do it the right way, and people just look at us like. Some people don't even tip you. Like, I need this more than you do, obviously, and so they don't even tip you. Not that we're taking tips, but you know what I'm saying. Like it's funny, but we'll do whatever we got to do. It's either that or just going to wait in the store for an hour and we're going to get a customer complaint. So we'll go take it ourselves. And, we make it happen. Like there's probably no one better than us physically at Jimmy John's. It's not really an accomplishment, but we're really pretty good at this. And I think that really helps us in our business is that if the manager comes in and says, I'm good, I can do this, I go, well, listen, I can do this better than you, so I need you to learn how to do it this way. Or trust me, I know how to cut your inventory. I know how to cut your labor. I'm not going to just yell at you to cut 5 people from your shift. Cut it like this. This is how you do it because I know how to do it. And I think it really helps us in getting them to buy into the way we do things.
One more for you, and then I want to bring Michael in because there's certainly a lot of other things that we can discuss with him as well. But, for some people, I guess your career path is you go and get a job, you work for the man or woman, whatever it may be, and you get your paycheck every 2 weeks, and you're in the system, and you're just going and all that. But when you are a business owner, there is a very different, sense. You have to be a self-starter. There's all these other things. So I guess for you, and maybe the Tomey Group in general, how did you kind of develop? Jimmy John's isn't the only thing that you guys do. So how did you, along that process, maybe it was your dad, other people, become business people? You know what I mean? Along those lines over the years.
For sure.
Hey guys, it's Bogey. I want to take a second to talk to you about Dewey Steffen and his excellent team at Great Lakes Wealth. Look, do you feel overwhelmed with managing your assets in today's financial world? I mean, think about the times we're in. Do you want financial freedom instead? Great Lakes Wealth offers Wall Street solutions with Main Street values. They sit down with you to develop custom financial solutions utilizing all of your assets, even your 401k. They build the future you want based on your goals and your dreams. That's what Great Lakes Wealth is all about. Thinking about you, thinking about your family, and thinking about your future. Simply go to greatlakeswealth.us to schedule an appointment today. They offer better investments and better service than anyone out there. Your road to financial freedom starts at greatlakeswealth.us. Please visit greatlakeswealth.us or simply give Great Lakes Wealth a call today. Not just Jimmy John's people, if that makes sense.
We discuss a lot. Obviously, we're in the same office for the last 15, 18 years, all of us. And we discuss a lot of things, and we see a lot of things, and we see how people do well. Like Jimmy John's is definitely our vehicle. Like it's our number one. It's our breadwinner. But you can't put all your eggs in one basket. We've wanted to diversify. We see ourselves as we're young. I mean, I'm the oldest, and I'm 39. So I'm the oldest of the three of us. And we just decided, like, hey, listen, let's go try other things. And we've gone on our own as well. If not just Tomey Group, we've gone on our own and done some things. Michael's got a company. I've got some real estate investments. We have some stuff together. We have a plaza together, shopping plaza. We're going to buy some other stuff. We have the vodka company. We have other things going on. And we just, the richest people we know have a main vehicle, and you got $2,000 a month here, $5,000 a month from this, $2,000 here, just little bits of money coming in at all times. And then at the end of the day, your net worth is what it is, and you don't have to necessarily rely. And then we can get to a point where we can pay people more and bring more people onto our main business, and we can be a little bit more hands-off. Maybe we can go golfing once in a while and see what happens.
Well, Anthony, what we say at the What Do We Do podcast and at Great Lakes Wealth, and this is for Sully's benefit as much as anybody else's, because this is the only thing I think he took Kyle from last year's, all of the episodes.
He's taken a lot. Come on.
Probably, but this is it. And we love him because he reminds us of this every week when we get together, which is the average millionaire in the country has 7 streams of income.
Yeah.
And like you said, Kyle, just working for a company is a great salary.
Sure.
It is maybe
security.
Security.
Certainly.
But even if you do that, you need to have what we talked about last year, a side hustle, 2 side hustles, 6 side hustles. A lot of them can be passive, not active. You are definitely active with your Jimmy John's,
sure,
even when you might be doing other things. But you can, again, invest in a real estate building,
yep,
and then hopefully that's just passive income, right? So I think that's awesome what you talk about. We also tell Kyle and Sully that 7 is the average, but we want to be better than average around here. So we go the perfect 10, plus we put 1 extra on top
sure,
of that.
why
So
not?
the perfect 11 streams of income. So we want to hear about those other streams of income as well with you and Michael.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's so important for the community around us to know that you got to hustle harder, work sometimes
sure,
smart, but that you have to have an understanding of how it works and how to get involved.
Yeah, that's what we kind of say to ourselves, is like, we're working really hard right now. So in a few years from now, when our kids are, we all have, all 3 of us have really young kids, and we want to be able to coach those guys and take them do stuff and have the things that we've worked really hard. Like our dad worked super hard, and he never was able to. He got here way later than we did. He started life in America at 33 years old. We started this I was 21. The kid, he was not even in high school yet. So like we're so far ahead that we want to get to that point so we can enjoy our lives. And not that we're not enjoying it now by any means. We are having a great time. We do everything we want to do, but we're not afraid to go work. We were never given, our dad gave us whatever we needed, not whatever we wanted. And I think that was a huge, way of thinking for us, that we got to bust our ass. This is what it's going to be. My dad to this day, if you don't work in the stores, see ya. you're gone. You're not going to get the money. Whatever the case, this is how he operates, and he's old school, a Middle Eastern guy, and he came here with nothing and made himself into what he is, and kind of made us into the kids we are today. So,
well, we might as well do your big question for every guest that we have with Anthony, and we'll get to Michael, and so we don't have to transition back and forth. But go ahead. I know this is your favorite part of the episode.
Let's do it, Anthony. So, as the show is called "What Do We Do?" Right? Well, you are on the mic right now, so I want to know what Anthony do, and what that means, Anthony, is what would the current Anthony Tomey tell the 18-year-old Anthony Tomey if he could go back in time and share some advice?
All right. So when I was 18, I was just all I cared about was sports: baseball, basketball, football, everything I could want to play. My goal in life was to become a professional athlete, which thankfully I was able to do. But I would definitely tell myself to work a little harder physically. Like I was blessed with I was size. I'm a big guy, but I didn't really work as hard at like the weight room and the running and all this stuff as I should have. And I would invest my money, take the couple $100 I had at that point in my life and put them into some stuff and get some things going, and make it into what it is today. I mean, 20 years later, I would have probably been a millionaire just off that alone, nonetheless having to put all the stuff I had to do today. So if I could go back 20 years, I'd go back and I'd just say, take care of yourself a little bit better. Make sure your mind and your body are all in sync together, and make sure that you make the better choices in life. Like instead of going and buying this, you invest here, a little bit there, and still enjoy yourself, but make it the right way. And people, I try and tell this to all of our employees. Like we try to set up plans for these guys to put $100 a month away. They can't do it. They won't trust us. I'm like, listen, this is eventually going to grow into something bigger for you. And they're just not in that point where they want that $100 to go buy something different. Mm-hmm. And we try to tell everybody this stuff. We're doing that for our kids already. We already have everything set up, 529s, life insurance plans. And then my kids are not even a year old, some of them, So we're getting there. I think we've learned our ways, and we're trying to start way ahead of where we ended up starting as well, and our parents as well. So,
well, Anthony, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic advice. And we
sir.
call it healthy, wealthy, and wise. So the healthy would have been working a little bit more at the working out, right? The wealthy is certainly investing that money. We say $100 compound interest, right? So that's the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. So tell your employees and anyone out there listening or watching to go to greatlakeswealth.us. At the bottom, we have calculators. I'm very serious. You tell them to go there and click calculators, and they can type in 100 a week times 4% return equals this after so many years. You can show your children, the whole community can see just how adding 100 here and 100 there will turn into thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and absolutely, Bogey, millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. You've just got to start. That acorn turns into the big oak tree.
Yep.
Just give it some time and a little bit of water. And some sunshine, my man.
Well,
thanks so much for coming out.
We'll get you out of the hot seat. Let's bring Michael in as well, and just some fascinating stuff there. And it's funny, everything that we talk about, these guys exemplify the different streams of income, the investing, the planning. You say it all the time. If you don't have a plan, what is it?
If you fail to plan, you plan
Bingo.
to fail, right?
There you go. Yes.
You got it, my man.
With that, we bring in Michael Tomey as well, and we appreciate you coming on here. We're certainly going to get more into some of the other ventures that you're involved in, especially 8 Mile Vodka, which you guys just purchased this past year. But just I'd be curious to at least start from your vantage point. He was saying you weren't even in high school when this journey began. So I guess learning through osmosis, learning by being involved, you had a little bit of a different perspective on it because you literally went through high school and started to grow. So what has that process been like really for you?
We opened in the summer of 2003. That was the year after I graduated 8th grade. So I started from the absolute bottom. I came in cleaning bathrooms, just making sandwiches, learned, became a delivery driver, became a night manager, became an actual general manager while going through college. I think there is a different perspective from what Anthony and I had.
Yeah.
Because Anthony came in, boss. I came in, I'm under the people who work for me. It's kind of a crazy dynamic. But yeah, it was a crazy thing, going through high school and having people be like, oh, you bring me subs. One of my favorite things was I would make a sub. Tuesday night I'd close the store. Wednesday, went to high school and sold the sub for like $14, $15. Went and bought myself a lunch for like $3, pocketed the rest of it, and it was an easy thing for me. But yeah, just that through high school, through college. I mean, it was a good experience. It taught me in college while taking full-time credits, also working full-time. It teaches you a lot of stuff. It teaches you what priorities are in going out with your friends at night and this and that. And trust me, I got to do it, and it was fantastic. But it was a tough experience, but it only makes you better.
Obviously, several different ventures, and we've talked about this as well, a credit card processing company that you've gotten involved in. So I guess what was the process and when did it begin maybe for you, branching away from just, the Jimmy John's, again, the vehicle that kind of drives everything, and you becoming a businessman, on the side and doing some other things?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like Anthony said, our dad always told us from the beginning, like, you need to diversify, you need to diversify, you need to diversify. But it was very tough for us to take what we had, like what we knew, and like go into different realms of new streams. So honestly, it was pretty recent where different opportunities came along. 2018 is when we first bought the plaza we own in White Lake. And honestly, that was our first kind of venture out, was 2018, from 2003. And, with me being a little bit younger, it was harder for me to say, all right, let me take all this money and do other things. But opportunities started to present themselves. And, we were blessed enough to be able to say, I got some extra money. Let me put it towards this. Let me put it towards this. My best friend works for a credit card processing company, and it was possibly coming up for sale. So, he calls me and he's like, listen, kind of need some capital. The most intriguing part about it for me was that I didn't have to do any work. My friend had been working for that company for well over 8 years. He knows it front and back. So I was essentially an investor and, taking half the company. So it was a kind of a no-brainer for me.
Kyle, we call that a passive stream of income.
There you go.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of those out there, and if you can line them up, that's a great way to
go. My
go.
goal in life was passive income. But unlucky for me, we bought the company February 20th of last year.
Oh, boy.
So immediately, and a lot of our clients are bars and restaurants. And so immediately, that money wasn't really coming in. Mm-hmm. Luckily, I didn't need to see money from it in 2020. And we did so well with it that I will get to see it in 2021. So that's great for me. So it's crazy how timing is so important. But yeah, it was a huge thing for me to be able to do that. And in the process of that, actually get going on 8 Mile Vodka. Which is,
and that's what, yeah, obviously I wanted to talk to you about as well, because the purchase became official August of 2020. It would have been a little bit sooner had everything else
COVID,
not gone on. But if you can, I guess, take us through how that came to be, how you learned about it, when it became serious, just I guess the overall story of 8 Mile Vodka, which, by the way, you can find at Meijer locations everywhere, or Myers, depending on who wants to say it that way. But it truly has grown a ton in literally half a year since you guys took it over.
Yeah. So Anthony and I were actually throwing a fundraiser for our church, and we really wanted to do well, and so we said, let's use our connections and find us things that people want, And one of our partners in 8 Mile, George, and his brother Alex, they own a travel agency. So we wanted to meet with them because they were offering us a trip to Greece. Who wouldn't want a trip to Greece? So we went and met with them, and in that same meeting, they brought another friend of theirs, Mikey Eckstein, and he was coming to bring us a bunch of sports memorabilia, signed things and whatever. We're like, okay, that's great. We can use it in our auction. So while we're in this meeting, Mikey says, you know what? I got a vodka company that is for sale. You guys want it? And we're like, okay. So he brings this vodka in, and we won't have to name the name. But once we went into, once we tried searching it and researching and doing, our due diligence, we found it really wasn't, the greatest company. But in doing that due diligence, we found 8 Mile Vodka, and were pretty astonished at, the work that the first owners had done to it. They put so much money into research and development and getting the right logos and getting the right wording and getting the right recipe. They did multiple times of different recipes, and they finally got one they loved. And they just kept running out of money. So they wanted to sell, and we engaged probably February, March, and took over August, September, and so far it's been beyond our expectations.
So is that also active? Is that passive? Is there a combination there?
Currently, it's active.
Okay.
We are doing a lot to try to get, so obviously pandemic, trying to get this into bars and restaurants has been very difficult. We've been successful in some places, and other places they're like, listen, wait till we're open past 10 o'clock. So
11 soon.
Apparently,
11 soon.
apparently
Yeah.
it's coming.
Yeah, maybe we'll get 11:15 by May 1st. Talking to you, Gretchen.
50% capacity.
Yeah.
Double it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
double it. But it's gone very well because we've gotten into places for sale. We've gotten into many liquor stores. We've gotten into many gas stations. And recently, in February, as Kyle mentioned, we got into all the Meijer in Michigan, and then a few in Ohio and Indiana. And Meijer, just being a huge, distributor in the country, or in the Midwest at least. I mean, just having that visual presence was huge for us.
But that doesn't just happen. You don't just wake up and say, I hope we're in Meijer's today. There's an entire process, right?
Yeah, no, it's people are astonished. They're like, that you got in this quickly. Luckily, we built a team in 8 Mile that helps us. One of our partners, Mike Bayoff, happens to be very good friends with the vice president of Meijer. It's all about who you know, right? So meeting with him, did a presentation for him. He tasted the vodka, and he's like, this is something I think we can sell. Meijer loves local products. Mm-hmm. They love Michigan stuff. And that's that's one of the biggest things we loved about 8 Mile is that it's a local product, and Detroit loves Detroit. Michigan loves Michigan. So it was a no-brainer for us almost.
So it's manufactured here, and where is it, on 8 Mile?
It's close. It's distilled. It's distilled at Valentine Distillery in Ferndale. It's 8.5 mile.
There you go.
go.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
8.5. But it's about as close as we could get. Uh-huh. But yeah, he does a great job for us. He's one of the best distillers around, and he makes our recipe to the T. So he does pretty good with it, and it's distributed through RNDC, which is the biggest distributor in the Midwest, and so we have some good connections with it, and hopefully we can continue that.
I'm just fascinated by the brand and the connection to Detroit. The bottle. You said the previous owners just did extensive work to, down to the wording, the phrasing, the way that there's a map of Detroit, inside the bottle and all of that. I mean, clearly, you talk about local. Meijer certainly is a local company and something that you can do, but I just think capitalizing on that relationship with Detroit and the bottle itself and the connection between 8 Mile and Detroit. I mean, it's so perfectly on brand. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what we wanted out of it. To say, like I said, Detroit supports Detroit, Michigan supports Michigan. Like it made it a no-brainer for us.
Are you surprised at how quickly this has all come together? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did
Absolutely.
I mean? So I guess I would ask this then: were you prepared for how quickly this would happen? Have you had to kind of shift things into the next gear a little bit because of how fast it's taken off?
Yeah. Luckily, when we purchased the company, we purchased enough inventory to be able to sustain this, but we definitely had to ramp up, production, and we were calling the guy who makes our bottles in Ohio. We're calling this guy and this guy to getting caps. The top of our bottle comes from Italy. We're like, well, we might need to get that cost down. Maybe we'll make it in the U.S. So there's a lot of things that we were like planning on doing over a period of time that we've actually had to ramp up. And actually, one of a huge thing is like I said, connections. Anthony's friend in Florida played baseball with him in the Tigers organization. His neighbor is a guy who owns a lot of the ABC liquor stores in Florida. We're sending them a case, see if they would like to. He wanted a case, and he said, I would love to put this in my stores if we think it's good and whatever. So it's crazy.
We
could be in 100 stores in Florida.
Well, there is a
in another
draw.
month.
There is a draw around the country for products in Michigan, whether they're just Michiganders that have moved away, but whether it's like, hey, ship me, some punchkis on Punchki Day,
Right.
or ship me some conies, down to Florida. So whether it's 8 Mile Vodka or any of the other Michigan brands, it's absolutely a way that you can, grow.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic thought, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's important to think outside of just this local community and just the way
absolutely.
you thought more than just Jimmy John's. Now you have 8 Mile Vodka, but can you spend a minute talking about the other types of investments or the portfolio again, without going into any, part of it you don't want to, but you talked about real estate a little bit. So as you're looking at, your specific situation, or your families. Speak for Anthony if you want. But what does the Tomey portfolio look like now, and what do you see it looking like in the future? If you can share some of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think our focus is going to be, and more diversification. Our focus is going to be real estate. I think it's just such an incredible asset. We're looking into more plazas. We're looking into land. We're looking into, obviously not like major buildings because I guess nobody's working in them anymore. But I'd say real estate is another thing. Actually, one thing that I forgot to mention about 8 Mile is in the 8 Mile purchase came an apparel brand called Born in Detroit, and so we own the trademark to have that on apparel. So that's another revenue stream that we honestly think could be bigger than 8 Mile. I hope they're both immensely successful. But yeah, I mean, that's another thing that, Detroit versus everybody was a huge brand, and Made in Detroit was a huge brand. Who's to say Born in Detroit is not next? And that's another revenue stream right there that could be pretty big.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
No, it'll be fascinating to see how other states react to 8 Mile Vodka as well. There's a ton of people who retire in Florida or spend their winters in Florida, so that'll be really intriguing to kind of check the numbers and see how people respond to a bottle like that all over the country. Dewey, you already had a chance to ask Anthony the big question. You want to put him on the hot seat as well?
Michael, listen.
I'm ready.
Don't sweat it. You know what I mean? Don't sweat the little stuff. This is nothing but just a little bit of pressure, to see what you come up with compared to what your brother came up with. But for all the listeners out there, all the viewers out there, this is now not what Dewey do. It's what Michael do. Okay, so the same question we asked your brother is, what would the current day Michael tell the 18-year-old Michael if he had the opportunity?
Well, number one would be eat less, but just a little bit. But I think I think it would be make your money work for you. Like we said, our father was very conservative with things, and the fact that we only had $800,000 in debt after our first 24 stores is a crazy accomplishment. But it's also, I feel like I've learned in the last 2 years even that maybe that's not the best way to go. It worked amazing for us, but I think debt can be useful to you to say, hey, instead of, every time we opened a store, we were putting our own money in rather than taking from a bank, and which is good and fine. But what if we took that money and took money from the bank, got principal and interest payments and this and that, but took our money and put it into a portfolio, brokerage account, or did this or did that? How much more money could we make? It's having liquidity has become much more important to us in the recent, past. I think that is a huge thing. So if I were 18 years old, I would say, hey, make sure you keep this money in order to have it when something comes up, because there are opportunities we missed. We didn't have money to get into this business that now does well and do this business. You know what I mean? So I think that debt can be your friend and make your money work for you. I think that's what I would tell them.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming on. Obviously, we look forward to seeing more and more success with 8 Mile Vodka, with certainly the Jimmy John's franchises that you guys have here and all the other ventures. Michael and Anthony Tomey of the Tomey Group, please go check out their website, thetomeygroup.com, if you want to find out a little bit more information and just continue to kind of follow their journey and learn a little bit more.
Yeah. Anthony and Michael, from all of us at What Do We Do, we appreciate you coming in today. The words that you shared with our community are priceless. You are absolutely on point with what you said. And we, again, thank you so much for spending your time here with us today. Sully, good to see you in the control room. Kyle, thanks for being here. This is episode 36 of What Do We Do? And Tomey Group, just like What Do We Do, it sounds like you're just getting started.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or any specific security. It's only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Any indices referenced for comparison are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. As always, please remember investing involves risks and possible loss of principal capital. Please seek advice from a licensed professional.